And in what has been seen as a shift in tone, Chinese President Jintao has conceded that a lot more needs to be done to improve human rights in his country. He made the admission after being pressed by President Obama and US journalists on the first day of his official US visit. Well, to put the visit into context, I spoke to Professor Geoffrey Garrett from the United States Studies Centre at Sydney University. He's an expert on US-China relations. I asked him what we could take away from President Hu's statement on human rights.
Well, it was an extraordinary admission, actually. Normally, the Chinese leadership says, listen, countries do whatever they want for domestic reasons. We need to live in a harmonious world of respect. This was an acknowledgement that Western criticism has some merit in China. But he was also saying, of course, listen, China's come a long way in 30 years. Sure, we've got some distance to go, but please give us credit for what we've done.
Okay. On the economy, Obama says that China's peaceful rise is good for the United States. Is it really, given that China's the #2 economy in the world right now, and what happens when it eventually becomes #1?
Well, I think it is good for the United States. American consumers obviously get a lot of products very cheaply from China. In the longer term, American multinational firms view the Chinese market as the next big thing in the world economy. Does it really matter which is the world's largest economy? I don't think it matters economically, but obviously in terms of geopolitics it does. But I think that day is still 15 years away from today.
No doubt both leaders had some issues to discuss, one of those being the currency, especially considering the Chinese currency is pegged. How do you see that issue being resolved?
The Chinese continue to say that currency is a domestic issue. I think the good news for the US and the world is that the Chinese are now concerned that the domestic economy is overheating. They're worried about inflation, and one way to deal with that will be to let the RMB rise against the dollar. Don't expect anything dramatic, but the adaptation, I think, is what we should expect.
Okay, and just finally, what do you see as the major threats to the relations between the US and China? And more importantly, how can that implicate Australia?
I think the big story in the last 6 months is that there's been rising concern in Asia about China's military expansion. The US tries to manage down those tensions a little bit, but I think for Australia and the other Asian countries, what they're asking for now is renewed US engagement in Asia, and Obama has certainly signalled he wants to do that.
Okay, Geoffrey Garrett, appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.